What?
The fuck is that?
You're right, Rayquaza. The heck is this? Like, Kleavor looks strange enough of a Pokemon on its own, but as a Scyther evolution... Scyther's strange enough on its own, too. It's a praying mantis with scythes for hands. Okay, that's cool. That makes perfect sense. But then it has a lizard head and, like, lizard feet? What? But okay, let's try and figure out what's going on in Kleavor's design. Like, first of all, why is it just this dude? Like, the hair and the twin axes? We'll get to that later, I guess. First, let's go into the most obvious thing. The name. It's Kleavor. With a K and an O later on. A cleaver being those really big butcher knives that are used for cutting through whole fish or big bones. And thanks to this ability, sometimes they go by another name, a bone axe. Hence Kleavor's hands resembling axes a bit more than a classical kitchen cleaver. But now, both being a Hisuian evolution, meaning that this is in the distant past, and this being a bug rock evolution of Scyther, it points to another cleaver, this one, a tool we've used since the late Stone Age. It's just a rock that's broken in just the right way as to make a rudimentary axe-like head that you would hold on to itself. It was good for cutting into wood, or chopping through fish. Kleavor's official description on the Pokemon website states, parts of its body have hardened into stone. The stone parts often get chipped during fierce battles, and Kleavor that have survived many battles will display larger chipping across their bodies. However, the chipping actually makes these stone parts sharper, increasing their slicing power. It is said that the people of Hisui once used pieces of stone that had fallen from Kleavor to craft tools. Very fitting. These rudimentary stone tools would obviously break all the time because, like, it's a stone Luigi. And obviously, they'd get dull very quickly compared to metal tools. But that could be fixed just by breaking off a new flake of it. Good as new. It's just smaller. So you can only do it to a point. And it's worth mentioning that the real-world Hisuian people equivalent, the Ainu, are, quote, one of the longest-running traditions in the world. And when it comes to adopting the technology and culture of outsiders, quote, resistance endured the longest on the northernmost island of Hokkaido, where the Ainu maintained a hunting-gathering culture well into the 19th century. So, even though this game seems to be taking place in a time period inspired by Hokkaido in the late 1800s, there would for sure still be a presence of stone tools. And interestingly, even outside of Hokkaido, the Stone Age lasted a bit longer in Japan when compared to the rest of the world, likely just due to the rarity of metal ores on the island. Metallurgy didn't really become common-ish in Japan until the Yayoi period, as people with agriculture and metalworking technology began immigrating over from the Korean peninsula, and their culture and people mixed with and then eventually took over the native hunter-gatherers who were already there. But enough about that. Who the heck is this guy, and why does he look so similar? Well, this is Shibata Katsui. This character model specifically from Samurai Warriors, where he wields two oversized axes, and he has the same haircut as Kleavor too. And this outfit of his even has the fur shoulder piece that Kleavor seems to reference, but we'll get to that later. So, this dude is based on the real-world Shibata Katsui, who appears in other games too. Here's a demon-y version of him from Nioh 2, where he is also wielding two oversized axes, and is similarly big and mean. Here he is in Fate Grand Order. Not with axes, but still with furry shoulders, and, again, big and mean. But who even was this dude? Well, he was a samurai during the Sengoku period. But not just any samurai, no, he was one of Oda Nobunaga's generals, putting him among some of the most famous samurai in history. He also became known as Devil Shibata, for some rather ruthless military tactics. So again, big and mean. And before you ask, no, he wasn't in Pokemon Conquest. IRL, he murders his wife, Oichi, who is like your main assistant friend in Pokemon Conquest, so they probably didn't want to allude to that being a thing that happens later. But anyway, while it is uncommon, it's not unheard of for samurai to wield axes, and if a warrior is a makeshift warrior, say from a nomadic or barbarian people, then using the tools you have around you, like a woodcutter's axe, may be your only option. And I of course bring that up because of Kleavor's shoulders looking like the edges of a fur coat, though it's made of rock. But look, its wings even resemble tufts of fur now. Being a Hisuian evolution specifically does help its case for having this furry connection, as one name the Japanese had for the northern people, the Ainu, roughly translates into shrimp barbarians. And when you think barbarian in modern media, what do you think of? Usually some ripped warrior wearing mostly fur clothing. Be you Eastern or Western, this is a common trope. The uncivilized northerners wear fur because it's cold up north, but also wearing mostly fur is so uncivilized. So clearly they are barbarians. And what do barbarians use as weapons more commonly than their southern neighbors? Axes. Think about the Vikings, for instance. As well as any northern nomadic people, they would mostly have tools, such as hunting and woodcutting implements to use in defensive warfare. And heck, with Kleavor, it's mentioned that its axes are for woodcutting. It's just also able to use them as weapons. But all in all, though, the idea of an axe-wielding, fur-wearing, big and tough barbarian of the north caught on, and persists to this day. Even in modern Japanese fashion, wearing fur accents on your clothing is seen either as a cute way to keep warm, a way to show that you are rich and noble, or as a means of making you look big and tough, like you killed the animal. Hence its use in the Yakuza games. Now, perhaps looking like this dude specifically is a bit of a coincidence, and if that is the case, then that's just because they both have a variant of the same common samurai hairstyle, the chonmage, or samurai ponytail. Keeping your hair like this helped hold those big samurai helmets in place, and eventually it became the haircut of warriors, so it caught on in fashion to those who, again, want to look big and mean, look tough. And then it became a man bun. Well, that's all for now. What do you think about Kleavor, and what more would you add about it here? Let me know down below, and until next time, you never stop using your noggin.